Hello, this is a tutorial for how to work on the team website with Dreamweaver. Um, if Dreamweaver is too difficult, then we can talk about moving to something else. But for those of you who weren't there for the conversation last year, Dreamweaver was chosen because we wanted to not have like a watermark on the website without having to pay for a new thing. And we also wanted like flexibility and like customizability, which with Dreamweaver you can basically like do whatever you want. And I'm not sure if that's the case for like other website builders. This video, it'll be on the Google Drive. I'll try to make video chapters because there will be different topics. If I can't make video chapters in a Google Drive video, then there will be a comment linking to a YouTube video with video chapters so that you can see each topic separated out. Also, if you need any more help after this, feel free to ask me because I'll always be happy to help and also call in if needed or wanted. You can also find a lot of tutorials online about HTML, Bootstrap, which we'll talk about later, and Dreamweaver. So search stuff up online, ask me, or cry and switch to something else instead of Dreamweaver. And so yeah, that's basically it. So we'll get started with prerequisites of like things that you need to have set up on the computer that you'll be working on the website on. So first you're going to need Dreamweaver, which I think you need to get through Adobe Creative Cloud. So you'll need to have some kind of like account to be able to use Adobe Creative Cloud. Once you're logged into Adobe, you should be on this dashboard. From here we can click View All Apps and then search for Dreamweaver. And then you should have the option to install it. I already have it installed. You also might have to install the entire Creative Cloud unless you already have that installed. But yeah, you should be able to install it. I cannot show you that because I already have it installed. After you have Dreamweaver installed, you then need to install Git. So you can just go to this Git SCM website and then click on Downloads and then choose the operating system you're using and then just click on the download link. Once you have the installer downloaded, you can click on it to install Git. Make sure to select yes. Just click next. You can basically just use all of the like default settings and then click next. Use Notepad as the default editor and then go with this option, override with main. This option is fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's also fine. That's also fine. Yeah, so pretty much just use all of the default settings until it installs. Then you can just click finish and close that. Okay, you need to sign up for GitHub if you don't already have an account. So search for GitHub and then go to github.com. Then you can click sign up and just make an account. Then we'll have to add you to the website project basically. So either Sherry or I can do that, but I'm not sure if Sherry knows how to do that. So just send us your like username that you sign up with and then we'll be able to add you. And then you can go onto GitHub and accept the invitation. When you're on GitHub, this inbox should have the invitation that you can accept. You should also get an email, so you'll have to make sure to accept the invitation to the website repository. And then after that, we can clone the repository, and I'll show you how to do that because you don't know what that really means yet. So to clone the project, go to your file explorer and then pick a folder that you want the website to be in. And then in whatever folder, I'm just going to use the documents folder. You can right click, show more options if you're on Windows, and then open Git Bash here. That'll open this window that you can type stuff into. So type git clone, and then we need to get the URL of the repository that you were added to. So once you're added to it, it should show up in your sidebar here, but I have a lot of stuff, so it won't show up for me. So I'm going to search for Team 2168 and then find the user, go to repositories, and I'm going to search GitHub, and then team2168.github.io is the website. Then you can click on this green button once you're at the project. Click on the green button, and then under HTTPS there's this link. You can click here to copy it, and then go back to this window, type space, and then paste it in. So you can right click and then click paste, and then press enter. And then this window will appear that wants you to sign into GitHub. So you can sign in with your browser, and then it'll have you sign in. So for me, this blank website appeared, but you can go back to this window and then check for when it says done, and then it should be done. And then if I go into this folder that it created, everything is here. So that's good. Now we can open this in Dreamweaver. Let's open up Dreamweaver, and then you're gonna get this setup menu. So if it asks you for the theme, you can pick whatever, and then from here you should select standard workspace, and then you can close it, and then you might have to sign in again. Once you are logged into Dreamweaver, we can open the website. So you can go to site and then new site. I'm gonna put Team2168 as the name, and then select for the folder this team2168.github.io folder, and then click save. Then it should load everything in, and so now we are fully set up with Dreamweaver. Now I'm going to go over some basics of HTML and CSS. You don't necessarily need to know this in order to use Dreamweaver to work on the website. So yeah, you can skip over this section if you want, but it is a helpful foundation. So HTML is the language that you use to create a website. It stands for Hypertext Markup Language, HTML. So it's basically markup, and markup is just kind of a language and a grammar that styles text at its most basic form. So in Slack, we also have markup. If you use 2 asterisks on either side of some text, it'll make it bold. Or if you use 1, I guess it still makes it bold. Underscores make it italic. Let's see, is this strike through? No. But yeah, so we can mark up the text and format it by using these symbols around it. and we can also indicate like bulleted lists by doing the little asterisk and then space. We can make a code block with the greater than symbol, if you can even see that. Or actually, this is a quote. The code block is done using backticks. So we can just like use text to like indicate a certain formatting rule that we want to apply to the text. And that's what markup is. So like this is the markup language that Slack uses, just like asterisks for bold, underscores for italic, the greater than sign for a quote, a block quote, and backticks for code blocks. With HTML, it doesn't use these like asterisks or underscores, it uses something else, but fundamentally it's doing the same thing. It's just like formatting text using a different grammar, a different language. So HTML is made up of tags. Well, I guess specifically, it's made up of elements and content. And to create an element, you have to use tags, and then inside the tags, you can insert content. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So, I'm just gonna make a new file. Actually, that's a text document. I'm going to, okay, you can write HTML in anything. So like you can do it in Notepad. I can just type random text and then save this as an HTML file, index.html. Usually the home page of a website is going to be called index.html, like that's the file name of the file that contains all of like the code that makes up the home page. So I can save it, and I can open this now in a browser, and it's just the text that I inserted, but it's open in a browser as a web page. So you can open it, or you can edit it in Notepad. I'm going to use something called Phoenix Code, which I did not install. I'm going to use this program called Phoenix Code because it has a live preview just to show you how HTML works. But you don't need this. So I'm going to make index.html, and it already inserted some stuff for me. So these things are tags. A tag is like, it's like something that indicates what element you're trying to make. So each tag is surrounded by these angle brackets, aka the less than and greater than symbols. Just to simplify, if I want to make a paragraph, the tag to indicate that is P. So I'll put P in angle brackets, and then I'll put the paragraph, and then to indicate the end of the paragraph, it's just the same thing but /P. So I can save this, and this is the preview of what the website looks like. Now it just says hi. I can add another paragraph that says hello, and it'll show up here. So there's a tag that tells you what this element is, and then a closing tag to indicate the end of the element. So opening tag, closing tag. If I want to make a heading, larger text, that's an H. There's 6 different types of headings that are just different sizes. So H1 is the largest. H2 is a little smaller. And then H6 is the smallest. Actually smaller than the paragraph text. So yeah, it's very similar to the Slack markup where you surround text with asterisks to make it bold, but here you just surround it with these HTML tags to tell it what you want it to do. I want this to be like a large bold heading, so I'm going to say it's H1. So those are like the most basic things, and then each of these is an element. So kind of like every set of opening and closing tags plus its content is an element. A paragraph is an element, a heading is an element, and there are like a lot of different elements in HTML. You can look them up. I'm just going to show you a few important ones. So there's also like image, the image tag. Now this one is actually interesting. This one's interesting because you have to add a property to it because it has to know what image you want to insert. You have to like provide it like the address of where it is on your computer. So I'm going to put an image in this folder. It's called lantern.png. So I can say image src, that's the source, equals lantern.png in quotation marks. And then this is actually a self-closing tag, so I don't need to have like a /img to indicate the end. It's a self-closing tag because you can't really have like content inside of an image, like you can't put text in it. Like it's kind of like a self-contained thing. So if I refresh, now the image is here. So yeah, this is an example of a property. It's just giving the element more information that it might need to know. There are also like lists. So if I want to make a list, like in Slack, if you remember, we do it with an asterisk. You just do this and it makes a bulleted list. In HTML, it's UL for an unordered list. And here we have an example of nested elements. So this is going to be a list, and then inside of a list we have a list item. So this is one list item, that's going to be one bullet point. Here's another, it's going to be another bullet point. And then when I reload this, here's my bulleted list. So again, these tags are indicating an unordered list, and then within the list we have individual list items. You can also have an ordered list, which is OL, and that just makes it like a numbered list, which also has list items. So you can see this one's numbered, and I can just put whatever. So yeah, that's the basics. Something a little more complicated, you can have a table. I believe that inside of a table, you need a table row. So you need to make each individual row. And then the first row is going to have a table header, which is th. So like, I don't know, what kind of stuff would you have in a table? Like mass. And then you'd have, this is going to be the next column. The next column might be acceleration. I don't know. And then you can have another row. The next row down isn't headings, it just has data. So it's table data. Let's say the mass is 0.5 and the acceleration is, I don't know, 2. Oh, it looks silly because it doesn't have any borders, but that's okay. And then you can add another row, with more table data. But yeah, that's basically how it works. You can see it updating live now. You have a bunch of elements, and elements can also have more elements inside them to create kind of like a tree structure. And all of this looks really ugly. That's where styling comes in, which we'll get to in a little bit. But at the start, there was some automatically inserted stuff. I already got rid of it, I guess. So you can just have your elements in here, but it's better to like put them in kind of like a structure. So I think the first thing is just saying doc type HTML or not. But you can make the HTML tag and everything just goes inside of it. Like, here's my HTML code. It's like not really necessary, but it's like best practice or whatever. And then the HTML, it's mad. You want to have a head and a body. So an HTML page, I guess it's like a person. It has a head and it has a body. So the body is where like all the actual content is. So everything, I'm going to cut and paste it into the body. And just indent it again so that it looks more readable. So the body has all the content, so then what's the head? Well, the head kind of contains like meta information about the site. So it'll have like the title that shows up in the tab. I believe it can also have the icon. It also has stuff like what language is this website in and stuff like that. So if I want to specify the title, I can use the title tag and then I'll just write the title. So like my cool site. And then I can open this file again in Google Chrome. And this isn't on the internet, right? Like nobody else can go to this website. I'm just opening the file that's on my computer in the web browser. So only I can open this. It's not online, but it's a web page, so I can open it in the browser because I have the file on my computer. And so now you can see the title in the tab up here is My Cool Site. And everything is displayed here, just like it was displayed in the preview. So yeah, that's how HTML works. Now, how do we make it like look pretty? That's what CSS is for. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. And it's just like, it's a style sheet, so it adds styles to your HTML code. So I'm going to make a new file called style.css. And then in the HTML file, I have to like import the style sheet so that it knows like I'm getting styles from here. So it basically knows to look at this file to look at like the styles. I always forget how to do it. You use the link element. This is also self-closing. So this is linking to the style sheet. This rel thing, it's just saying like this file is a style sheet. Href means like it's the link to where this is. So my file is called style.css. So now the two files are linked together. And that reminded me, there's another element I can show you that might be important called A. I don't know why it's called A, but this is a link. So similar to this, like this one I guess is for like linking other files. This one is for like hyperlinks to different like web pages and stuff. So similar to this, it's going to have an href for like what it's linking to. So if I want to link to Google, I can say a href equals https://google.com link or click me. Then if I refresh, now there's a link and it brings me to google.com. So it's an A element, and then this is one of those properties that gives it more information. Just like the image element had to have a link to the image, this element has to have a link to like whatever you're trying to link to. So yeah, but back to CSS. So CSS looks different from HTML. CSS is made up of selectors and properties. So selectors are just like selecting what element you want to add style to. So let's say I want like a background color on the whole page. I can select the body by typing body. And then I use curly brackets. And inside of these curly brackets, that's where I put the properties. So one style property is background color. And then I can make it Alice blue. And now the background color is a light blue. I can also change the text color using color. We probably want like a dark blue or something. And now the text is dark blue for the entire page. So yeah, you select what element you want to add style to, and then you add different properties. So the background color is going to be this color, and then you have to end it with a semicolon. So now the next property, color, is going to be dark blue, ended with a semicolon. I can also change like just the color of the heading. So if I want to change H1, heading 1, the text color can be red. Now it's red, but I think that's ugly. So I'm going to undo it. There's other stuff besides color. Like you can add borders. So like maybe to my image, I can add a white border. So let's say border, sure, you can do a dashed border, border radius. I believe that's like, actually no. Where is border width? I guess it's just border width. You can make it like 5 pixels, 5 px. Apparently it'll look like that. We can also specify a border color white. And now it's white, but yeah, that's kind of not really visible. What about black? So yeah, and there are lots of other things. So another thing that's actually helpful for styling, another element would be a div. So I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff. A div is basically like a section of the website, like kind of like a chunk. Like it's kind of like abstract, because this isn't like a specific thing like, oh, this is a paragraph, this is a heading. This is just like something to indicate like you're grouping this stuff together, you're making a group of elements. So you always just like nest other elements inside of a div. So yeah, I could put more like text in here. And then let's say that I want this to kind of be like a white block on the page. So like right now, it just kind of looks the same as everything else. But I can give this div a background color. We can make it white. See if that shows up at all. It kind of does. Okay, so now this is just like taking up this whole line and it looks kind of ugly. We can add margin. So this is an important thing to like understand. The difference between margin and padding. So margin is going to add space around this element. So if I want like 10 pixels of margin, it'll look like that. If I want 50 pixels of margin, it'll look like that. And this is just adding margin to all sides. But you can also add margin specifically to the left. So now there's just margin from the left, and the right side is going all the way to the end. I can add margin right so that it's symmetrical horizontally. There you go. Padding is going to add more space like on the inside of the element, between like the edges of this element and the children elements inside of it. So let me show you what I mean. If I add a bunch of padding, now there's space around this paragraph element that's inside the div. But this space is like added inside the div, as you can tell because the background color is here. So the margin is adding space around the div here. So the orange is the margin and the green is the padding. But yeah, so the margin adds space around the element, and then padding adds space inside of it. That will go like outside the child elements. So now there's more space between the edges of the div and the child paragraph element that's inside of it. You can add like more text. Something else as a side note, BR just adds like a line break, so now there's more space between these two paragraphs. That is pretty helpful. This is another self-closing tag because like it can't really have content inside of it. So yeah, okay. So this is how this looks. You can also use like percentages instead of using pixel values, so maybe like 10% of the screen on either side. So then it's like when you change the size of the web page, it'll kind of scale with it, so that's pretty cool. Whereas like if you like make something too big, then it like won't scale because oh, that's like larger than the size of my screen, kind of like now it just like won't really work. But if you use percentages, then it'll always scale well. So yeah, we can also add some like we can add rounded edges. So that might be border radius. Let's say like 10 pixels. That would make it more rounded, yeah. The more pixels you give it, the like more rounded it is. You can also make it a different color just so it shows up better. You can see it updating here. So that's fun. And then you can also like change the height. Height full should make it the full size of the screen, or not. that will. So you can do 100% to make it 100% of the rest of like the screen, I guess. Actually, like I don't really notice like what it's basing that off of, but yeah. You can also make it just be like a certain pixel size. And then you can add a border, maybe a solid blue border. There you go. So then you can kind of see the outside of the div, and then that might make the padding make more sense as well. So if I increase the padding, it just adds more space like between the border of the div and the stuff inside of it. So yeah. Span is similar to a div, but you can use it like in the middle of a paragraph. So like if I wanted specific letters in here to like be a different color, I can do that with a span. Whereas like div is like a whole block. So now I can come in here and say I want this span to have red text, and now those specific letters are red. Okay, so now what if you have like multiple divs and you like want to use them for different things? Like maybe I have this and then maybe I want another like big red block. But it just like looks the same as the other div. Because right now in the CSS file we're just saying this is what all the divs should look like. So instead of that, we can do something, we can use something called a class. So we can add another like property to these elements. So this class is white box. And then this one's class can be red box. So now in the style sheet, instead of basing it off of the type of element, I can base it off the class. You have to put a dot in front of it if you're going to do that. So dot white box can be this. And now this one is no longer using the same style as the white box. So now if I want to add some styling to the red box, I have to put a dot in front of the class name. And then I can just say background color red. Make the height really big. Yeah. Also, one element can have more than one class. So like, let's say you want to like have some kind of like fancy styling for like pink italic text and you want it to be here and you also want it to be in here. And you don't want to have to like copy over that styling twice. So this paragraph, I can give it a class name of like pink italic. And then this red box can have an additional class name. So each like individual class is just separated by a space. So now this div has two classes. It's a red box and it's also pink italic. So now if I add styling to the pink italic class, it should apply to both of these. So dot pink italic color pink, and then I don't remember how to make it italic. Font style italic. So now both this, that does not show up well, both that paragraph element and the text in here are pink and italic because they both have that class name. So yeah, so you can do that instead of having to like make a separate class for this and then another, like add that styling to this. You don't have to put it in two places. You can just give both of them the same class name, and you can make this have more than one class name. I think there's just one last thing, which is like a little complicated. But there's something called a media query, which basically means like the website will ask the device information about it, and then you can change the styles based on that. So the most common way of using this is just like if your screen size is small, then like make the stuff on the website smaller so that it like looks better. And that's how you like make websites look good on mobile. So like if you look at GitHub, there's all this stuff in the header. If I make it small, I'm not sure if anything changes. Oh, the search bar like kind of collapses and it just shows this icon. And then these little buttons disappear. So like, oh, like this website has different styling if the screen is smaller. Also, it has this like dot dot dot. So you can do that with a media query. So like, okay, if the web page is smaller than this, then we're gonna do this to make it look better, so that stuff doesn't get cut off. So yes, this is what a media query looks like. At media, screen, actually you don't even need this. So I'm just gonna paste this. You don't need the screen and. So at media, min width 480px. So if the size of the browser is a minimum of 480 pixels, if it's 480 pixels or greater, then we're gonna do this stuff. Let's actually change it to max. So if it's this size or smaller, then we want to do something. Let's say we want to make the headings like smaller. So then you can just add selectors inside of this media query. So like h1, and then I think it's font size. We can make it really tiny. Let's see if this is really tiny. So now instead of being big, these should be smaller at a certain size. Maybe. Yeah, you can see it changing now based on the width of the web browser. And we can just do like other crazy stuff, like if the width is 700 or greater, then we can like change the whole background color. So now we can say, now we want the body's background color to be bright red, because that will look really great. So now if it's that size or bigger, it'll be red. Oh, one more thing with CSS is that you can also use something called pseudo classes, which can like affect the state of stuff. So to make that make more sense, let's say like I want the color to change when I hover over it, like what's happening right now. I did it before, so that's why it was there. I did it before to test. I can do H1 and then :hover. So this will be the style of the H1 when I'm hovering over it. Then I can say color white. So then now it'll do that. There are lots of other pseudo classes. Like when a link has been selected before, and just a lot of other stuff. But hover is kind of an important one for like buttons and such, so I thought it was worth mentioning. So that is it for the basics of HTML and CSS. So now we can get into using Dreamweaver. Now, inside Dreamweaver, there are 3 different like previews. So I'm just going to click on the index.html. Once again, the home page of a website is typically called index.html in like the actual files. So you can see there's a code view which shows all of the HTML, and then you can click on all of the linked like style sheets and stuff and look at that. And then source code shows the HTML. There's a live view. And yeah, so this just like shows you live what the website's gonna look like. And it has like all the hover effects and stuff. And yeah. There's also like you can click on design. It's a little weird and I don't really know what's going on. I think it's supposed to like, I don't know, it's something, but it's clearly not really working. So we can just go back to live. And I accidentally just changed something. So yeah, make sure you're in live and then split like splits it up between both. So the live view is at the top and then the code is at the bottom here. And you can make this bigger or smaller. So I like to be in the split view because it's just a lot easier. And then I'm gonna make a new page to just demonstrate like adding elements and stuff in Dreamweaver so that we don't mess up the existing pages. Also, like if you want to work off a template, like all of these just kind of have like a really basic like template for like a basic page. Like you can just duplicate the page. Copy and paste and then just edit that. But yeah, so I'm gonna make a new page and then Dreamweaver has these like menus on the side. Down here is the DOM or the DOM, which stands for Document Object Model. This just kind of shows you all the elements like in a tree format. So you can see what we were talking about before. There's the head, and then inside the head there's a title, and then inside the body there will be more elements, and we'll see this like populate as we add elements. There's the file system here. You can also go up here and click insert, and then this will bring you to like a page where you can insert HTML elements. So let's insert a paragraph. You can like, oh, I guess it inserted two. You can click on what you're trying to insert. It might just insert one. And there are different ways to like pick where you're placing it. So like you can click on here in the live preview and it'll kind of have you like select the element and then you can edit it, and then you'll see it kind of also moves your cursor and edits it down here in the code view. So if I go to this one, now the cursor moved up here in the code view. So I can click here, and then if I want to add like a heading below this, I can click whichever heading size I want to add, and then I can do it before to add it before the selected element, after to add it after. Wrap if you want to wrap it around it. So like if we were inserting a div around this paragraph, we could do that. And then nest if you want to put the element inside this one as a child. So like if you were adding a list item to an unordered list, you might want to nest it. So here we can just click after to add it after. So you can do it like that. You can also click in the code view wherever you want and then add something. And then I think you can also select it from the DOM. And like I said, now this has more stuff in it, so you can see inside the body we have a paragraph, a heading, two more paragraphs, another heading. I'm not sure where the last paragraph is. Oh, it did something. Oh, it inserted the heading inside the paragraph. So I guess from the code, it'll just insert it wherever your cursor is. And then here it'll like ask you if you want to insert it after. If you click here. If I click this H2, it'll do the same thing, ask me before, after, blah blah blah. So let's just delete all this that I've added. So we're just going to make like an example page for the 8-bit Falcons, basically. We can scroll through and just see like all the different elements it's possible to add. There's a lot of fun stuff. These are semantic elements, so they like just like have meaning, but they don't like do anything. It's kind of like a div, but like not really. So headers, like you're just saying whatever you put in here is going to be the header. Main is like you're just saying whatever you put in here inside this element is like the main content of the page. And like the point of these is just for like screen readers to know like, oh, this is the header. So like you'd still put like a div in here or something. But yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff. If you click on this drop down, we can actually go to Bootstrap components. So Bootstrap is a framework for HTML that we're using. So what that means is it's like an extra thing that we like added to the website that like lets us do cool stuff and makes everything easier. So Bootstrap is used mainly because it comes with like components, which are like kind of like complex elements. It comes with a bunch of components that like automatically work well with mobile, so like it'll resize stuff or change how things look to make it like look better on mobile. So similar to like what I was talking about earlier with this GitHub website, if my browser is small, then it'll get rid of the search bar, it'll get rid of some icons. Some websites would have all of these icons just go into like a little drop down menu. So like Bootstrap basically does all that for you. So yeah, it makes it really easy to build responsive websites. Responsive just means that like it updates to look good based on the size of the device or the browser window. So yeah, Since we want this to look good on mobile devices as well as computers, Bootstrap makes that really easy. So we can use a mix of normal HTML elements and Bootstrap elements. So like we can add a Bootstrap nav bar. We can just do a basic one. So here you can see the nav bar, and then if I make the view smaller, it automatically turns all those buttons into a drop-down menu, like I was just talking about earlier. And now you can see this is inserted into our code. And there are like basically a bunch of normal HTML elements that just make up this component. So yeah, when we talk about like external frameworks, I guess, like Bootstrap, we say it provides components, and a component is basically just like a bunch of elements that like they designed to like do a thing. So like we are using this navbar component, which is just a bunch of like the basic HTML elements put together, and they like styled it and set it up in a way that it's like easy to use out of the box, because it already like has this functionality of changing based on the screen size. So yeah, and you can see like they're using a lot of classes. Like it's just normal HTML code, but they have a bunch of classes in each element. So how Bootstrap works is it basically just links like a style sheet. So if we go to the top of the HTML page, actually, well, yeah. It did it in a bit of a silly way. But like, actually, yeah, I don't know why I did that. Um, in here, in index, it's linking to a Bootstrap style sheet that is like downloaded and just like put in one of the folders here. So basically Bootstrap is just a CSS file, a style sheet that has a bunch of styles for a bunch of different classes. So it defines a bunch of classes that have styles, and so it'll automatically style stuff for us to work well with mobile devices and computers based on the class names. So like their CSS file has a class called BGLight that probably has the property background color like light gray or something. So instead of us having to like go into our own CSS file and create those styles, it does that for us. It already like styled a bunch of different classes, so now we can just add the class name to an element and it'll have those styles. So basically it makes it easier. So like we can just use their components. We can also create our own elements and use those styles that they made so that we don't have to like add custom styles. So I bet there's a similar class called like BG Dark. So if I make a div, and give it the class BG Dark. Now, okay, this div was added that has a dark background. So now we don't have to like go into a CSS file and create the styles. And I can add a paragraph in here. They probably have like a text color class as well, maybe. class text white. There we go. So yeah, now again, like I keep repeating, we don't have to go into a CSS file and make our own styles because they just defined a bunch of classes that style stuff for us, and that kind of makes it easier to just work from the HTML. So yeah, that's how Bootstrap works. It has a bunch of predefined styles that we can use in our HTML. It also has like a bunch of components that we can insert the code of from this menu that use their styles so that stuff works well with mobile, because they also probably added those media queries, the media queries that make it have different styles depending on the screen size. So yeah. And Dreamweaver just like added more files. Like I think it added this folder and then this CSS file because the version of Bootstrap that the rest of the website is using I think is old, and Dreamweaver got confused because it's in like this vendor folder. So I can try to fix that later, but that's like not super important. So anyway, we have this nav bar. Let's say we don't want the search bar. We can, I guess, click on it, find it here. We can just delete this form because that has the whole like search bar and search button. And then now we've kind of customized bar. We can come in here, like change this stuff. The drop down appears to have these drop down items, so you can edit these and change where they're linking to from the href property. So like you could have this link to, I don't know, about.html, and I guess to like actually click on it I might have to open this up in a web browser. So again, this is opening it from my computer locally, not from the internet. So any changes that you make here are not automatically put online. This is still just on my computer for now. So I want to go to example.html, and then this action takes me to the about page. So yes, changing the href property to another one of our HTML pages will make this button link to that page. Okay, so we have our header. Now, what else can we add in this insert menu? We could add a carousel. I'm going to insert it after, and it got confused. So I'm going to click into my code and just click somewhere after the nav and then try to add it. So a carousel is something like this where it has like moving pictures. So here we have a placeholder image. So from here I can click on the placeholder image and then click on this like little menu, and then I can select an image instead of editing the code. You can also just edit the code, but you can browse for the file. And then something to note, you want it to be a file that's in this team2168.github.io folder, because once we like upload the website to the internet, this folder is the only thing that the website will have access to. So you can't just like pick something from somewhere random in your computer, and it'll give you a warning as well. The file may not be accessible when you publish the site. So copy the file over. Our images, I think, should be in assets and then images, so this folder. And then you can save it. So there we go. So yeah, once again, any image that you use for the website has to be inside this team2168.github.io folder, because this folder is the only thing that we are going to upload to the internet for the website. So everything just has to be in here. And specifically, please put images in at the images folder, which is in the assets folder. Okay, so that's from this block. You can also make image responsive on like any image that you have inserted. So what that means is, like I said before, responsive just means that the website will like change according to the size of the browser. So if you make an image responsive, it means that the image will automatically resize. So like right now it's kind of making itself smaller once the browser is small. Otherwise it'll just clip. So probably every image that we use should be responsive. And we can see when we select it to be responsive, it's adding this image fluid class. So if you want to be like in the code, doing things in the code, then you can keep that in mind. It's the image fluid class. But yeah, so that's one of them. This should have multiple images in it, I believe. Yes, there are multiple slides. So this is the first slide. Then here we can see the second slide. It says second slide heading, second slide caption. So we probably want to change the source to a different image. So I'm gonna grab another image. The image that I used for the other example. I'm gonna put it in this images folder, and then assets/images/lantern.png. Okay, it's trying to add this placeholder because I just saved. That's okay. And then we can just use the same one again. And now everything we added should be in the carousel. So let's actually add a header under the nav bar, so we can just go back to the normal HTML components and add a heading in H1 after, and it's doing it inside the nav bar. I'm going to cut and paste that outside of the nav bar. Wait, I don't know what it's doing. Okay. And then I'll change it to say 8-bit Falcons. Okay. And you can see the carousel is carouseling. Here we can say this one is lantern. It's changing so quickly. Well, it's highlighted it in the code, so I can go here where it was highlighted and edit it. This one is highlighting this right here. And there we go. Okay, and let's try out some more Bootstrap components. Grid row with column just adds like a row in a grid with columns. So we can say there's going to be 3 columns for 3 different cards. Insert this. Cool, so we have these 3 columns now. So inside the first column, I'm going to get rid of the text and add a card. If it'll let me. Okay, whatever, we can do it from the code. And then insert a card inside this column. We can kind of stretch it to be as big as the column. And then, I don't know, title. Maybe this can be for like different fields, like we have programming. Program games. And in theory, you could have an image. Okay. Second column, add another card, nest it inside, because we want it to be inside the column. This can be art. 2D, art, and animation. And then the third column, we can nest the card inside. We can say music. Audio. Oh, another thing just to be aware of is that you can like click these little arrows to like collapse stuff. So like if you have a bunch of stuff inside of a div, you just don't want to look at it. You can just collapse it. So okay, now the whole carousel is just like in one line. So yeah. After this, let's try adding an accordion. So an accordion is like this collapsible group. Like you can click on one and it should expand it. It's not really working in the live preview right now, but let's say we just like, we want to add space between the cards and the collapsible group. If you remember, that's a BR element. Let's see if they have it here. I don't really see it, but if I go to the top of the collapsible stuff, I can add BR, and then there should now be some space. Yeah, now there's space between the bottom of the cards and the top of the collapsible groups. If I go back to the preview here, hopefully it'll like work. Okay, yeah. So you can click on the links and it'll like open up the accordion. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and something about the columns. If the screen is small enough, it'll just make them like go vertical like this, which is very nice. And something good to know for like testing how responsive the website is, you can go into the browser, you can right click, go to inspect, and then this will bring up the Google Chrome DevTools, assuming you are using Google Chrome. Then you can click this toggle device toolbar, and then it'll let you choose like different devices, and it'll show you what the website will look on that device, like based on the size, which is very helpful for just figuring out styling to make sure everything looks good on different devices. Some of these, it seems like these cards are not centered, so that's interesting. Okay, is there anything else in here that's notable? I guess just for your awareness, pagination. So pagination is like this, where it like just like It gives you numbers to go to different pages if you have like a lot of stuff and multiple pages of stuff. Breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs is this kind of thing where it shows you like a back trace of like links that got you to where you are. And yeah, I think that's like most of the helpful Bootstrap components to go over. So how do we add style to this stuff? I'm gonna get rid of these. How do we add style? Like in Dreamweaver. So you can go up here to the CSS designer and it should show you the different CSS files that are attached. This HTML page doesn't have the CSS that like we created attached, so I can click add, attach existing CSS file, and then go into assets CSS styles. This is like our custom one, styles.css. Click OK. And then now we can use this. We don't want to add stuff to Bootstrap, but we can add stuff to our custom one. We can add media queries in here. If you click global, then it'll be outside of media query. Then there's some predefined ones. If you click on them, then it'll have you add CSS for like that screen size or that media query. And then it'll let you add selectors. So you can choose an element on the page and add a selector for it. So if I just want to like, whoa, I don't know why that's happening. If you want to add a color to the header, you can select the header and then go to selectors, click add selector, just press enter. OMG, there's a lot of stuff in here. Actually, we might want to add a class to this because this is going to affect the other files. If you click on it in here and then click the plus, then you can add a class. So you can say 8-bit Falcons, I don't know, and put it in this. That's fine. So yeah, we want to add the selector as a class because otherwise it'll style every H1 in every page of the website, and I don't think we want to do that. So we can try that again. And with that selected, then we can go to properties. We can add a property for color, and we can make it blue. And it didn't do anything. Okay, the reason it's not working is because you can't have a number in the class name. So we can change this to like 8-bit Falcons header. And see if that's like if it automatically changed anything. It did not. So, okay, click on this again, add it to the selectors, press enter, add a color property, blue, and now it's blue. And if we like come back to this, now you can see there's like a color picker, so you can choose like any color, and it'll insert the hex code. You can also edit styles from this little menu, so like we can align it center. Ooh, and we can transform it like this. Title case, not title case. all uppercase, and that'll kind of automatically do it for us. We can make it bold, italic. Let's see what styles it added, if any. Guess it didn't add any. Oh, I think it must have added it to the HTML directly. Yeah, it did. Yeah, what else? We can also like come down here, make this text bold, italic, and stuff like that. You can align these, and you should be able to just add classes to any element in order to style it. Okay. There's also another thing you can do. So if you go over here and then go to snippets, there are Bootstrap like code snippets. So these probably use JavaScript, which is like actual code, so you can like make things do stuff, presumably, because I don't know why else they would be separate from the components. But just as an example, we can add a modal. And how a modal works, well, let's look. I think, yeah, we can just click to add it, and then if I save and go back, save and go back to my web preview, I can, like, it just added this button that will launch the modal. So a modal is basically like a little pop-up menu that like grays out everything in the background. So yeah, there are all of these code samples as well. Here, I think, yeah, this is the modal body, so I can say like, hi, I am a modal. And then, now that's in the modal. So you can add like a form in here too. So that's pretty cool. There's something specific to our website that I want to go over as well. So in the events page, you can like filter the events. So like you can filter, let me just show you here. You can filter by events that are like soon, you can filter by competitions, you can filter by outreach. So the way that works, like if you are adding events, I believe each event has a class. So these classes here refer to like the classes they're filtering by, I think. So we have this I think is just like any. And then we have soon, comp, and out for outreach. So each one of these that's like an outreach has out as a class. If it's soon, then it has soon as a class. So that's how you control if it shows up when you click these buttons. So yeah, we want to make sure the filtering works. So if you're adding an event, just make sure it has the appropriate classes. Soon if it's one that's coming soon, comp if it's a competition, out if it's outreach. This one's soon and outreach. You might need all for it to show up with this, but I think you shouldn't need to, but you can test it out. Also, I want to figure out a way to like automatically have events go to both the home page and the events page, because this is like kind of a repeat. but you'd have to like fill it in twice. So you'd have to put the events here, and you'd also have to like edit them here. I want to figure out a way that you can just like edit a text file or something, and then it'll automatically be added to like both pages. But for now, you do just have to like edit them here, and then make sure you also edit the ones on the home page to be like up to date. And then there's one last thing for the icons. So if you want to use any of these like icons, or like if you want to update the ones that are on the home page, what we've been using for like these is something called Font Awesome. So that's like another like style sheet that you just import. So I think in Assets, CSS, we have these Font Awesome style sheets, also Solid, and Brands are part of it, and then they are imported up here. So basically you can just create an I element, I think that's for icon, and then give it a class name for like the specific icon you want to use, and then it'll just make an icon. So like the TikTok Font Awesome TikTok icon is part of the Font Awesome Brands group, so you put both of them. And you can search up Font Awesome to see like all of the icons that they have. So like, I don't know, if you want like a check, you can find one, and then it shows you how you would add it. So yeah, that is it for how to use Dreamweaver. Next we will talk about Git. So Git is a version control system. What that means is it tracks different versions of your projects. So basically like if you're editing something and then you kind of want to save it where it is right now so that you can come back to it, and then you make more changes and then you're like, oh, I hate like what I just added, I want to like undo it all. Git makes that easy, and it also works with like a branching structure, and also makes it easy for multiple people to work on one project at the same time. So it allows for teamwork, and we will get into that in a bit. But something fundamental to know is that in Git, every like project is called a repository. So basically every folder that's like being tracked by Git is a Git repository, and you have to like initialize it as a Git repository. So like Git is a program that we just downloaded. And yeah, you can go into any folder on your computer with any files in it, and you can tell Git, track this folder, track the files in this folder, track the changes I make to them. And then you can tell it to just make that folder a Git repository. So you can do it with code, you can do it with text files, you can do it with anything. So right now, this folder is already a Git repository because we downloaded it from GitHub. We'll talk about GitHub later. But yes, this is already a Git repository. It's already being tracked by Git. So let's like talk about Git's branching structure. So Git has multiple branches. The root is main. So there's a main branch. It's like, well, it's the main branch. The version of our code that's like on the internet right now is the main branch. So the stuff that's actually online, which doesn't have any of my changes, by the way, if I go to the if I try to go to example, it doesn't exist because that's something that I did on my computer. I didn't upload it. It's not on GitHub. I have it here, but it's not on here. So yeah, but what is here is the stuff that's in the main branch. So we have main. You can make a bunch of changes. So let's say like you're writing an essay or something. You write the introduction paragraph and you like write an outline. And when you write the paragraphs, you plan on replacing the outline, but you might want to be able to go back to the outline just in case like you end up hating what you just wrote. So, okay, you made an outline, you want to like save a snapshot of this state. You want to be able to come back to your essay at this point in time. Well, you could just save the file and then like copy it and make a new file. But with Git, you don't have to do that. So you can say, okay, Git, I want you to commit all of the changes I just made. So you make a new commit on the main branch. And this commit contains your essay outline. It doesn't commit every time you save the file, it's just when you tell Git to commit, to save the current state of my files. So then, okay, you replace part of the outline with some body paragraphs, and then you're like, okay, I want to commit again. So git save this state, that's committing. And then, I don't know, you keep replacing the outline, and then you commit just in case you want to go back, and finally, you replace the entire outline, you have all of your paragraphs written, you commit again, and then you think, like this one body paragraph doesn't really make sense, it's kind of all over the place, I want to look back at my outline that I originally had. Well, you can, oh my gosh, you can check out this previous commit that you made, because it's like a state that Git has saved, so you can go back to it. And you can look at all of the code that, or sorry, we're not talking about code right now. You can look at all the text that was in your file at that point in time when you saved that state, when you took that snapshot, when you committed. So that's all in the main branch. Let's say that, I don't know, we are working on this website. We have all of this functional stuff on main right now. So like, I don't know, there's a bunch of commits already from people working on stuff. Okay, we're at the top of main. Oops. That's where we're at right now. Let's say your task is to create the Girls in Tech page. So, you might want to like make some commits just so you can go back to previous stuff. So, but you don't want this to be on the main branch because the main branch is like what's actually being published on the internet. You don't want to publish this page before you're done with it, but you might still want to make commits or take snapshots to go back to, just in case like you mess something up. So we're gonna branch off of main, and this branch you can call it Git for Girls in Tech. Wait, that's confusing because we're using Git. We're gonna call it Girls in Tech. Sorry. Git is the program we are using to do this, and it is also the acronym of this thing. So anyway, we are making a new branch. You can call it Girls in Tech. And actually, we'd really write it like this. So yeah, we make a new branch, and then maybe you make some changes. You write some like description text, and then you commit. Then maybe you write like stuff about like, oh, should you join the Girls in Tech server? Commit, whatever. While you're doing that, someone else is working on the 8-Bit Falcons page. So they branched off of the main branch, and they're making commits, and they're changing stuff on the 8-Bit Falcons page. And maybe someone else is changing the home page. You can have any amount of people working on this at the same time, and they should all be using their own branches. So now, let's say you finished the Girls in Tech page. You're at this commit, this last commit. So yeah, you finished, you've committed all remaining changes. Now you can merge back into main, into the main branch. So the main branch will get all of these commits that you've made. So now all of your changes will be put into the main branch, and now if you put that online, then the website will update with just your Girls in Tech changes. Then this person working on the 8-Bit Falcons branch, maybe they finish, and then they can merge all of their stuff into main. And it's gonna go on top of the commits that you merged into main, all of the changes that you made. Luckily, you both were editing different files, so it's very easy to just take their changes and put them onto yours. But that's the basic idea of how Git works. So Dreamweaver has like a built-in Git view. So if you click on this little button, Show Git View, this is the repository. And then this is the branch we're currently on. It tells you Git branches. That's a different branch I just made as a test. So right now there's only 2 branches. We're on main, but yeah, if we were making changes to the Girls in Tech page, we want to make a new branch. So right now none of my changes are on main because like I saved to my computer, but I didn't commit in Git, so Git didn't like add these changes to that branch yet. So I can just make a new branch off of main, just like we did here. I can make a new Girls in Tech branch. Click OK, and then we have a new branch. Done. Now I'm on that branch. I can also click this to toggle the Git panel. This shows every change that you have made since the last commit. So this is everything, even the stuff that I was doing before, that I was showing you. So this is kind of unrelated. So sometimes you'll get sidetracked, like, oh, like I was just showing someone how to update the main page, but my real task is to work on the Girls in Tech page, but all of these changes are on my computer. I don't want to commit the main homepage changes to the Girls in Tech branch. Well, you can just select specific files to commit. So I can check this, now it says it's staged. So I can just commit like the change that I like made this file. There's nothing in it yet, but I made the file, it's on the computer, so I can commit that. So I can check this, then I can click commit staged files. So now it'll only commit this one file, which is good because all these other ones are irrelevant. These are from when I was updating the main page, but this is the Girls in Tech branch, and we want to keep commits relevant. So that I can easily, like, just go back to previous versions of the Girls in Tech page and stuff. So I can say created Girls in Tech page. Yeah, every time you commit, it'll ask you to make a message explaining like what you have changed, and that's really helpful. Like if you do want to go back to a previous commit to like, I don't know, because like you changed the website but then it like broke something and you're like, oops, I want to go back. Having descriptions will be helpful because you know which one to go back to. Like maybe you committed changes that broke something somewhere and you didn't realize, and then you made more commits later, and then you're like, wait a minute, when did this like bug appear? Like when did this glitch appear? Then you can go through all the commits, see when the bug happened, and yeah. And the descriptions are helpful to know like what might be relevant. So yeah, I created the page. Okay. I need to add user details. And hopefully it works now. Okay, now it worked. So I committed that change. Ooh, I can also revert all changes. So like all this stuff that I did on the main page, or actually that was also from example.html. All this example.html and main page stuff I don't actually want because I was just showing you like a tutorial. So I can revert all of these. And then everything I did is just deleted now. Example HTML doesn't exist anymore. It's not here. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, again, I can like make changes to the Girls in Tech site. Maybe I add a heading, Girls in Tech. Maybe I add a paragraph. That was not after. Okay. Whatever. We are a Discord server for girls in FRC. It's messing everything up. What is happening? Okay, cool. Here's a basic page. And then while doing that, oh, I got distracted. I got distracted because I realized the support us page sucks. And I wanna add you are a premium sponsor if you donate this much money. And then I'm like, oops, I should have done that on a different branch. Well, it's okay, because you can just stage and commit the specific files that you want. So I can select this one, and like, I don't know, maybe if I added any images, I could select those. What the heck? I can commit just this one file. Added info about the server. Cool. Now I have this modified file. I can go to a new branch. So go to Files, Manage Branches, New Branch, Support Us page. Now I'm on this branch. Now I can commit this to that branch. Added necessary info. So I have all this stuff happening on different branches. And that's okay. Then you can always merge. So let's say I'm in Girls in Tech. Actually, no. Okay. Let's go to main. Let's say I want to merge the support us changes into main because that was all that I needed to write. Wait a second. I don't know. Oh, I did something silly. Okay, so when we created the support us branch, we ended up merging off of Girls in Tech. We probably should have merged off of the main branch because now this has the Girls in Tech page in it, which is exactly what I didn't want to do. So I can just go to Manage Branches and let's switch to Girls in Tech, delete this branch, and it'll delete my changes, but I'm fine with that. Okay, now I can make a new branch. Make sure the origin branch is like the one you're branching off of. So like if I branch off of Girls in Tech, it'll have the changes that I've committed so far here. So the new branch will have the Girls in Tech page. If I merge off of main, if I branch off of main, it'll only have the changes that were made in main. So it won't have the Girls in Tech page yet. And now I can make my changes to the Support Us page again. Oh my gosh. You're a premium sponsor if you donate a lot. Okay. I don't know what I just did here, but that was an accident. Okay. Now I can commit this. And then I want to merge this change into the main branch because I'm done. So I'm gonna go into main. We have to do it from the branches, manage branches thing. So I'm gonna click support us, I'm gonna click merge branch, and now it's gonna merge the changes from the support us branch into the main branch. So now the main branch will have the changes that I just made here, that I committed on this branch. I'm gonna click OK, close, done, and now the main branch has this change. And the main branch doesn't have the Girls in Tech page because that's a different branch. And if I switch back to Girls in Tech, this page doesn't have that change that I made because it's a different branch that doesn't have those changes. So okay, main has this now, and that means I can just delete the other branch because I'm done with it. And I can continue making changes to this branch and eventually merge it into main when I'm done. Yes, so let's say we might have to edit multiple like things now. Let's say like I added something here. I mean, this is already here. But if I wanted to like go into index.html and add like a button to go to this page, actually this isn't linked to it yet. So I can, oh wait, is there already a page for this? There shouldn't be. I can change this to go to git.html as like the link. Save. Now this file can be committed. Maybe I make more changes in here. Blah 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 blah. More info. Maybe pictures. I'm gonna click down here to get back to this. I could commit both of them at the same time, like both files, or I could commit them one at a time since they're kind of unrelated changes. So I can commit this, like changed link on girls and tech button. Then I can commit this, added more info about whatever. Okay, so the purpose of all this is so that multiple people can like work on the same stuff at the same time. So like, let's say two different people are working on the About Us page. Like maybe one person is adding information to it and another person is like making it look pretty. So like I'm gonna make some new branches, so I'm gonna go to the main branch. I'm gonna make a new branch off of main called About Us Styles. Let's just say we wanted to like italicize something, like we wanna, I don't know, make this bold and italic. And we're like, yeah, that's some fire styling. And then like we're just like working on it, whatever. And we like do other stuff, other styling down here. For whatever reason. Something important here. Whatever. So we do all this stuff. Okay, let me commit to this branch so that it doesn't follow me to other branches. So yeah, we're doing this stuff. Styling. Meanwhile, at the same time, someone else branches off main doesn't have any of the styling. They are editing the content about us. I don't know, it can just be about us. And they decide, oh, actually, like this paragraph is bad and we should delete all of it and replace it with something else. And then maybe they add other stuff elsewhere. And then they commit this. Changed text. And then they want to merge it to main because they are done. So I'm in main. I'm gonna go to the manage branches. I'm gonna merge in about us. Okay, now main has this update where we got rid of that. Now let's say the person working on About Us styles were to push their changes. So if we weren't using branches, this person's stuff would just override what the other person was doing, right? Because they kept this paragraph and actually changed it, whereas the other person deleted it. So if we weren't using Git, and one person was doing that change where they deleted this, and another person is doing a change where they are formatting the whole file, including this paragraph, this person would commit, and it would override what the other person did. And then, like, that would cause problems because you could just save over what other people are doing. But with branches, we have both of our respective changes in different branches so that we can't save over each other. And then when we try to merge, if a change that we are merging in conflicts with a different change that was made on this branch or merged into this branch, then Git will say, there are merge conflicts, you have to fix them, I can't automatically merge. So then if people like do stuff that conflicts with each other, or that would like override what someone else did, it doesn't do that. Instead you have to like figure out like, okay, what am I actually trying to do? How do I like resolve this conflict? So let me try to merge the styles, and it says there's a conflict in about.html. So the merge conflict editor, Dreamweaver doesn't really have a good way of dealing with it, but you can open the file that has conflicts in like Notepad or something. And this is what a conflict looks like. It has like these little arrows and it'll say head and then equal signs and then the branch that you're trying to merge in. So this is the change that like is already in the main branch, and then this is the change you're trying to merge in that conflicts with it. So here we replace that entire paragraph with the word hi and whatever this thing is. Whereas the change we're trying to merge in added some styling to it by emphasizing it. Well, okay. If this person thought that this paragraph should be deleted, then we don't need the styling for it, so I can just get rid of what this person was trying to change and delete this thing that says head. Head just means like what was the most recent commit on this branch. And dealing with merge conflicts is confusing, so someone like me can probably usually handle it, but it's good to like know about at least. So okay, here's another conflict apparently. I guess on main we added, oh yeah, we added this gibberish, and here we added something. We added some emphasis here. So I can say, well, I want to keep this gibberish, but I also want to keep the styles I added. So I can just copy this from here and put it here, and then delete all of this, and then delete the thing that says the branch that it's coming from. And I can just search for the word head to see. Okay, wait. Okay, it doesn't tell me how many there are in this file. Okay, so we dealt with all the merge conflicts. Now I can save the file. So yeah, basically Git will insert that stuff into your file if there are merge conflicts, so you can just edit the file. So I can save it. And then I can go to the Git panel, and then I can add this, and then I can finish the merge by committing. Because these are all the files that were changed from when I tried to merge in. and it already has a comment automatically because I was in the middle of a merge. So I can just click OK. And now everything has been merged into the main branch. Okay, so all of this so far has just been local on my computer. Like I just merged stuff into the main branch, but it's still not on the actual website. So if I refresh this and go to About, this paragraph is still here. There isn't any gibberish, there isn't any bold or italic. So all this stuff, all of these branches are still just on my computer. So I have a copy of the repository of like the Git project on my computer. So how do I put it on the internet? How do I get like, how are other people able to work alongside me? How do I upload the website to the internet so other people can access it? That's where GitHub comes in. So we originally downloaded the repository from GitHub. So GitHub is just a website where you can like upload your Git repository and then other people can download it and like make their own branches and make their own commits and then upload those back up here. So right now there's only a main branch. If I want to put stuff from my local Git repository on my computer onto the one that's on the internet on GitHub, I have to push. So I can push. I don't want to push main because these changes are actually bad and I don't want this to actually be on the website. But like I can push these branches. So like I can go to the Girls in Tech branch. I can go down here and there's a button that says Git push and it shows a 4 because I think there are 4 commits that I made since I branched off of main. So I click that and then just keep the default options. Click OK and it'll push it online. And when you cloned it onto this computer, like what we did earlier, it automatically created like a link between this folder, this like repository, and this one on GitHub. So Git knows like where to send the files to when you push, when you upload. So now on GitHub you can see, oh, there's a new branch. There's a new branch, and it has this new file that I made about girls in tech. It's still not in the main branch, but it is in that branch. So that's how you get your changes from your computer onto GitHub. And like I said before, the main branch is the one that the website is actually running from. So if I want that page to be accessible, then I have to merge it into the main branch. So the way that we actually want to do that, I was showing you before, like merging directly in Dreamweaver. When we want to merge into the main branch, we actually want to do it from GitHub so that somebody, like an admin, can review it to make sure that like nothing crazy is happening. Because we don't want just anyone to be able to merge into main and like edit the website and like officially change the thing that's like online that everyone can see. So we want you to do something called a pull request. A pull request is just a request to merge a branch into another branch that just like makes it public on GitHub so other people can comment and stuff. So this is already showing up with a button for me to make one. I can also go here to the pull requests tab, click new pull request. I'm going to select the branch that I made that I want to merge into the main branch. Click create pull request. You can give it a name and a description if you want. Added a page about the Girls in Tech Discord server. Create pull request. And then someone else like me can come and review the changes and then merge it into the main branch. If you have merge conflicts, it'll say that merging isn't like possible. So what you will want to do is go into your branch and merge the main branch into your branch. So that way you can resolve the conflicts. So like if somebody else pushed to main, or if somebody else like merged their stuff into main and it conflicts with your changes, you just want to merge the main branch into your branch, so that if there are any problems caused by merging, like it's not in main, so you can still fix it because it's like not uploaded on the website yet. Because we want to make sure anything that's going in the main branch on GitHub is like functioning and there aren't any problems and stuff, because that's what people can see on the website. So you can merge main into your branch and then deal with the merge conflicts and then push, and then it should be up here, and then it'll be all good, and then I can merge it into main. And then I can delete the branch if I'm done with it. So now it's in main. The website might take a few minutes to update, but eventually it'll update and then that page will be there. So it updated. Now, so this changes in the main branch now, but something to keep in mind is that that doesn't mean it's automatically on my computer. So if I go to main here, I don't have that file anymore, and this thing doesn't link to that page. It links to girlsintech.html, not to git.html. So the changes aren't here yet. So they're on the main branch online on GitHub, but they're not on the main branch that's on my computer. So I have to pull. So I can git pull to take the changes from the internet and bring them to my computer. And I also have changes that I made, so there might be conflicts, because I changed the main branch. Okay, there weren't any conflicts. So now the changes are here in my main branch. I have the git file, and all the stuff is here. So if you make a pull request, and you have merge conflicts, and you want to merge main into your branch, make sure to pull first so that you get all of the most recent changes that were put onto GitHub. So just to review, committing is when you like save a snapshot of changes that you have made, because you're like this is kind of one distinct change that I might want to go back to. So it's different from just saving the files on your computer. It's more like I want Git to remember the state of like the files right now. And it's good to just commit like every time you do like one distinct change, like you updated the info on one page, commit. You changed like the sizing of the images, commit. You changed the nav bar on every page, commit. So yeah, it's just saying I want Git to remember the state of my files at the moment. And on GitHub you can see a history of all commits. Okay, so yeah, I can like go to the main branch and click here and I can see all the different commits. So I can see like, oh, like Sherry added a Waterbury event. Then she added WPI, then she fixed a typo. I created the Girls in Tech page, then I added info, then I changed the link. So I can kind of go back and see like the changes that were made for each of these commits, which could just be helpful for various reasons. Like maybe I want to learn how to add an event. I can come here, see what she did. Or like I was talking about earlier, if like there's a bug somewhere, like there's a glitch with the nav bar. Maybe I want to look for any changes that were made to the nav bar, such as this one. So yeah, that's committing. Um, oh, fetching, by the way, this is a new one. Fetching is like if there are any new branches, like if somebody else pushed a branch to GitHub and there's a new one, if you want to get that branch on your computer, you have to fetch. Um, Pulling pulls the new changes from like whatever branch you're currently on. It pulls the changes that were made on GitHub into the branch. So if I'm on the main branch right now and I pull and somebody else like pushed to the main branch and made commits on it, then it'll take that from GitHub and put it on my computer. And if I'm on the About Us branch and somebody made commits to that and put it on GitHub and I don't have it, then I can pull and I will get those commits on my computer. Pushing is when I take the commits that I made on my computer and upload it to GitHub onto this branch. This shows all previous commits that were made, so you can also see it here, which is helpful. And then you can also like undo every change that you've made since the last commit. That's another helpful thing. You can kind of use a commit as like a checkpoint. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna try like something experimental that might not work at all and might be really bad. So you can just commit where you are and then try the like risky thing, and then if it doesn't work, you can just undo it all so that you don't have to go in and delete every like line of code that you added and stuff. So that's about it for everything, I think. Oh, actually there's one more teeny tiny thing. So issues. There's an issues page on the GitHub repository. I like to use this as like a place for like a to-do list. Basically, an issue is just like, I don't know, it's anything that like you want to change about the thing. So it's kind of like a task people can work on. So like there's an issue for like the text doesn't show up on mobile devices for some reason. There's an issue for we should make the photos better. There's an issue for add functionality, like make this thing work. There's an issue for this thing doesn't work on mobile. There's an issue for make this look better. So you can kind of see there's different tags like bugs, requirements, enhancements that just make things better. So we can add a new issue. Like, something that you might notice is that like the nav bar kind of intercepts with like this heading if the browser's too short. I don't know if I can. Yeah, so it doesn't do it now, but if it's too short, then it does. So I can make an issue for that. Navbar overlaps with heading on short displays. I can add a description if needed. I can give it a label of bug, and I can create it. And now it's here. Some of these might have like checklists, because you can also add like little checklists. But yeah. Okay, one last tiny thing. You can actually resolve merge conflicts from GitHub, and it might be a bit easier for you. So I modified these two branches to have conflicts again. So they like edited the same paragraph. So let's just say I want to merge, let's say I want to merge About Us styles into About Us. So like, oh, I'm working on the About Us page and then I'm branching off to like work on styles for it. and then you're going to merge the styles in. So, okay, there's a merge conflict, can't automatically merge. So it'll say this branch has conflicts, so you can click resolve conflicts, and then GitHub will bring you to an editor that kind of highlights all of the merge conflicts, which makes it a little bit easier to edit. So like, okay, here is the text from About Us, here's the text from About Us styles. Maybe in this case, I think, okay, I actually want to keep the stuff that was there before. And here, I just changed the gibberish in both of them. Maybe I actually decide I want both of these gibberish paragraphs. So I can add that there and delete this because it's a repeat. And then delete this, and then all the merge conflicts are gone. So I can click mark as resolved and then commit merge. And so that merged About Us into About Us styles to like fix the merge conflicts. Now I can merge the whole thing into About Us. And yeah, so that should be everything. If it's way overly complicated, then we can look into other solutions. But like I said before, you can ask me questions. I would be happy to answer them. I would also be happy to like call in and help people. And yeah, thanks for watching.